Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to the AHA Movement Sunday Live. My name is Yogesh Kapoor. I am a communications coach, and today I have with me the Grace, so amazing, my accountability partner, my friend, my guide. Grace, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Alrighty, so I am Grace so amazing, and I do a lot of things, but this on this platform, I express myself as a life coach and also a human fertilizer. So what I do basically for people is I help people build systems where they are able to achieve their goals whilst having fun doing it. So I'm very happy to be here, and today is a special day. Yogesh, happy Father's Day to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Grace.
And happy Father's Day to all the amazing dads out there. And we can't say it enough. Fathers are pillars, and fathers are the bedrock of the society. Men generally are the bedrock of the society, meaning that men are they're pillars. I'll just say they're pillars. And a big shout out to all the men out there, the fathers and the upcoming dads, those that are willing to be dads that are not dads yet. All of you, happy Father's Day. One question I'll just throw at you very quickly is, what is your most memorable, or how would you say that being a father, that's not our topic for today, but because today is Father's Day, we can just go ahead to usher in this question. So my question is, what's your experience? I think that's the best way to put it. What's your experience like being a dad?
It's very interesting, Grace, that you asked this question because every time we do a live, that same question is asked in my Toastmaster meetings the day before. And yesterday, somebody was asked this question: what is your most memorable moment with your father, or being a father, or, vice versa? It's not the most memorable moment, it's the most memorable moments because there's just so many, you know. The first time you see your child walk, the first time your child comes up to you for advice, the
Mm.
first time you play a sport with your child, or when every time the mothers shout at the children and you go and become like the guardian at that point against the mother. you know it's just so many
Yeah.
of those moments. And then you, I mean, like, remembering when my dad was alive, it was spending time on Sundays, you know, going to places, and times when he shared his feelings with me. Just too many to name, right? So I guess it's the moments. It's not a moment, right? Obviously, for a father, the great moment is when a child is born. I've seen both my children's birth. I was there, right? But there's just so many moments that add up, add up, add up. And then when you're not around them, like I'm not around my kids right now, right? They all are in Canada, and right now I'm here in China. You kind of like think, oh my God, even on Father's Day, the father would be pampering the children, right? It wouldn't be the children pampering the father. So you miss those moments and you realize, children are like the greatest source of energy. Like when you see them, you feel more energized. If you're having a bad day, you see your kid, you feel so strong. Like there's so many moments. I'll tell you two. Once I told my son, when I see you, when I was dropping him school in the morning, I told him, when I see you, I get so much energy. And he said to me, when I see myself, I get energy. And that was such a wake up call for me. Like, oh my God, that is just, you know. And another thing, he once said to me that really hit a home run was, I don't get up in the morning for to see the sunrise. The sun gets out to see me rise. And I was like, oh my God, like it just flipped me. Sometimes they just say the most, powerful things. And my daughter is always the one I've been very, close to, and she's very open with me. the first time she had an alcoholic drink or she had some weed. She won't tell the mom. She'll tell me, right? So I have that kind of bond with my daughter, and we've had some hilarious moments. One of two of them I can't share alive, but once I remember, I was explaining to her in the morning before going to school. This was like when she was 15, 16. I was like, you got to plan things in life and all of that. And she was like, and she knew that she wasn't a planned child. So she's like, was I planned? And so that was such a funny moment for me, like, oh my god, look at her, how she just came around and told me that. So these are the moments that actually make you really feel good as a father. Yeah, so that's my 2 cents on memorable
And
moments.
I think there is no explanation to how to there is no explanation to the relationship between a father and a daughter, the father and
Oh yeah.
his daughter. It cannot be explained, because me sitting down here and listening to you talk about your relationship with your daughter is me understanding what it really feels like, because I was super close to my dad. In fact, today I decided not to feel bad, because my dad made my cup so full that it will last me a lifetime, even though he's around or not. So today, when I woke up last year, I was feeling a little sad that it's Father's Day and my dad is not here. I cried and all of that. But today, I didn't cry. As a matter of fact, I was happy. Like, this man made when he was around so beautiful that the memories that we his kids spent with him is going to last a lifetime, and I'm very happy to share that. So I'm going to allow you to introduce the topic of today.
Yeah, so today, I was thinking about what we were going to speak about, and suddenly I realized that there's been a couple of setbacks recently in my work, and loss as well. you know so I came up with this topic, and I feel somehow the timing has been just perfect, especially today being Father's Day. And you know we can talk about both situations where we have setbacks at work, and also how do we get back from setbacks when losing loved ones. I think it kind of is more about how do we pick ourselves up again, right? But let's talk about a setback you've had recently at work.
Oh, I've had lots of setbacks, but the beautiful thing is, for one setback, I am able to pivot, or to redirect, or to be able to see something differently. So I personally don't see setbacks as anything bad. And it took me a while to get to this point. And that was because there was a time I did an investment that I lost. You're aware of it. I told you about it. And when I lost when I did that investment, I was waiting for my return on investment, and I didn't get my stuff. And I'm like, what's happening here? I mean, working in a very comfortable place did not help me, because the losses and everything goes to employers. So most times employees don't get the hit, they just get paid their salary. So the employers don't I mean, the employees don't feel the heat when it's a paid employment. But when you're doing your own thing, or you are a partner, when this has to do now with career, it's going to hit you so hard. You would ask yourself, why did I even come this way? So personally, for me, I've had setbacks in my business. And when I started my business, my one of my companies, when I started, I I told myself that, look, the setback came in form of not expanding, not willing to expand, because I was afraid of, it was already stressful where it was at the time. And it was an opportunity to expand, but I was so afraid to expand that in the in being afraid of expansion made me stall. So I just, I didn't move forward, and I didn't do anything better. So it became a very terrible setback for me, and my business wasn't moving. So what I did was that I sat down, and I said that I looked at it. I also had to get a coach that helped me look at it, from another person's perspective. And the coach was able to let me see that I was afraid of the success that it was ready to to get to the next level of my business. So it came in form of a setback, and it made me frustrated, and I started questioning a lot of things. But after that, it opened my eyes to new branches, new ways of thinking, and I was able to improve in some areas and increased my what's it called now? What I was afraid of, I was able to put in the work, and it became history, because when I now look back, I said, okay, look at what I was afraid of. Now we're here. So I love when sometimes I'm faced with setbacks. For me, setbacks mean it is time to grow. And it would even amaze you to also understand that I had to look for another way to when I lost my dad again, I would say, because we're talking about losing, and in losing, it might be in losing a loved one, losing in your business and all that. So when I lost my dad, I felt I was not going to be normal. I felt life was going to end. Apparently, I had I had I have been so comfortable with him being around, to a point where I there are some things that I should have been independent, but I wouldn't be independent, because I always had my dad to run to to tell me one or two things. So when I lost him, I felt my life had gone, and there was nothing else. But again, the beauty of life and the beauty of knowing how to deal with issues when they come, I was able to deal with that phase of grief. And now this is me celebrating, looking back and saying, oh, what what he equipped me with is enough to take me a long haul. So yeah, it can be difficult, I must add. It can be difficult dealing with all of those things. I just simplified it, but at the time, a lot of emotions, a lot of second guessing, a lot of questions, asking myself, am I good enough? Why did I even go this route? What's the problem with me? I had to ask myself many questions, but all those questions were relevant at the time, and I also learned from that experience. So I'm throwing the same question back at you. Uh, Tell us what recent setback, or
Well,
tell us a story around the
you
setback.
know, recently,
Can you speak
like
up a
I'm in
bit? I
China.
don't know if it's my phone, but I can
Can you hear
I
me?
yeah. Yeah, I can hear you.
So recently, I had a big setback. As you know, I'm in China. I'm exporting a lot of products to Europe, and we were about to just explode. You know what I mean? We were supposed to double the amount of products we're shipping and everything. Suddenly, our customer said, "Stop!" Like literally stop, and we can't ship anything for the next 1 month. So it was like a huge setback. It's like, oh my God, I've just placed orders, like orders for the next 6 months, and suddenly he said to stop, you know? And it was a huge setback, but it was also a wake up call that do not depend on one stream of income. And what that did was get me more organized, because now I'm making my catalogs, I'm making price lists, we're preparing to go to different markets, different countries, preparing to go into exhibitions. So it was a wake up call. And that setback actually made us realize that we need to expand even more. not just limit ourselves to Europe. We need to get into South America. We need to get into America. We need to get into Middle East. There's so many markets that we are not doing. And the line of products we're in is usually like anything that sells for $1, you know. So it should be easy to get into this line because as it is, the economy is very slow. And the low selling priced products will definitely sell more than the high price selling products, right? So that was one setback. Even though the customer is coming around, they've just put a stop on us. We know it's going to get a little filtered and maybe the way of working will be a little different. It will restart. We're positive about that, right? It's just a phase right now where they felt there was just too much going on. They wanted to stop for a while. They wanted to plan things in a more smoother way. So, these things happen, right? I mean, we've had thousands of setbacks I've had thousands of setbacks like that in my life where something was working and it suddenly stopped, right? And instead of spiraling down, becoming negative, you kind of pull yourself up and say, oh no, so if this door is closed for now, let's open more avenues, right? So that was one recent setback I had. And I tried to be neutral. I didn't try to get negative about it. Like normally, we get very negative. Oh my God, what's going to happen? Blah, blah, blah. I said, it's okay. Everything's going to be fine, you know? And coming back to a setback of loss, recently my friend lost his best friend. One of my friends lost his best friend. And this was a friend of his who he could sit with hours and who would not judge him at all. And today he doesn't have him, right? So I was explaining to him, you might not have him because it was a big setback for him. I'm like, you might not have him to listen to you in a physical manner, but you see, the body is just a vessel, right? In which the soul comes in. So his spirit, his soul will still be there, guiding you, and what you got from him, from the memories of that, take that as your strength, right? Like when I lost my father, 8 years ago, a bit too early. He was only 70, he could have made it to, I believe, to 70 plus, right? But then when I look back, at that time it was difficult,
That's
facing
actually
that
what
loss.
we have in common. We have that in common. My dad passed at age 70 as well.
Yeah. So I think it's a bit early, but I guess that was their time on earth. And I look back at what he taught me, right? Like on his 70th birthday, I asked him, like, if you were to give a speech, what was the one message you would give? He's like, believe in yourself. And I hold on to that every time I feel a little shaken. I'm like, believe in yourself. You can do this. You can do this, right? Every time I feel like giving up on something, I said, no, you know, believe in yourself, believe in yourself. And all my life, I saw him never give up. So I take that as an example, you know, and it took time, like even, but I had a few exercises to kind of let go of all the grief and loss, like I wrote a letter to him saying some things I couldn't express while he was alive, right? And when you read that letter, you actually tear up. You will, I didn't expect that, but I was tearing up, but that also releases it. And it makes you realize that you had good times together. And like I said, the physical is not there, right? The vessel, the body is not there. But spiritually, they're always there. They're always guiding you. Like sometimes I'm just sitting by myself and I'm thinking of something. And then I say, Dad, talk to me. What should I do? Dad, talk to me. I start sending the prayer up or the question up, and the answers come. The path gets opened. Another way of getting rid of losses, you have to, like, it's a setback, right? A loss is a major setback because now you don't have that person who you used to go to every time. But another way I look at it is now you become somebody else's pillar. Like what you said in the beginning, right? Fathers are pillars. Now you become a pillar for someone, and take the wisdom that our fathers or our elders have given us and be the guiding light for others, right? Pass on the torch. They passed it on to us. We have to pass it on forward, right? So in everything that happens, you have to look at the positive of it. My father suffered a lot. He was a COPD patient, means his lungs were not functioning well. He was a smoker. He was on oxygen and all of that. in and out of hospital. The longest he was there was 6 months back in 2013. They literally had to make a hole on his throat. I mean, he went through a lot, right? So the final time he was on a ventilator, I was like subconsciously telling him come back, right? Because he was a fighter. But I realized at that point I was being selfish because here he was suffering, right? And I knew if this time he was too old. He wouldn't, even if he came out of the ventilator, like maybe he would not be able to walk or move on his own, right? And that I think for any man is suffering or any human is suffering when you can't really. So I subconsciously told him, go. I promise you I'll take care of everybody. I literally said these words, and you learn from that. I learned to be strong. I learned that that's what love is, right? You can't hold on to someone and let them suffer. You got to let them go, right? That's the pillar you have to be, and take the strength from them, what they taught us, like never giving up, believe in yourself, and pass it on forward. Like my father always called me king, for some reason. He always called me king, and it's funny. I call my son the same thing now.
Nice. It's interesting, and I think it's a message for us that are still here, and why it is very important that our prodigies, our mentees, even people that you're not biologically related to. Because I remember watching a video recently, and the man kept mentioning the impact what somebody did for him. He kept talking about it. And I think Jim Rohn did that a lot. He kept talking about this man. If you watch his video, he would mention that man's name. And I'm like, oh, this guy, it was clear that that person was very useful to him, was very valuable to him. And this particular thing I'm saying right now is to anyone out there that is saying to themselves that, they don't have their own biological children, and they don't think they can, be that impactful. It's wrong. I would say it's outright wrong that there are people that you can be a part of their lives, that when you eventually pass, you would, when you're old and gone, you would have created something very deep in the lives of these people. And it will make me say something that I think will be the aha for me is Yogesh. Same question to me as well. Yogesh, how can you tell that you have been very valuable to people? What are the things that you currently do that that would make you go to bed and sleep like a baby because you know that you are of immense value to a group of people or someone, or
Very good question. Okay. There are times, and not once, but many times, where before I used to focus a lot on teaching public speaking and confidence to children. I don't do it as much now, but sometimes I would wonder, does it really help? Did they do something with their life? And, I mentioned this before on our lives. My first ever student became a pilot because he told me, you taught me how to visualize, and I visualized getting a scholarship worth 150,000 US dollars, and he became a pilot. Once one mother messaged me and said, my daughter, she's going into the student council. Thank you for your help. She's going for it. She's not scared anymore. And she presents in front of the whole school. One of my students who moved to Canada, he messaged me saying, that was last year. He said, what you taught me, it helped me a lot. And now I'm taking my team and going into these school competitions and all, and presenting. And it's sometimes even the small things, right? Like for example, I'm in a I'm walking in the mall. I see somebody. and I see they're doing a good job for me. Like they're giving me coffee, they're talking to me, whatever, right? And then I appreciate them. I tell them, you know what, you're very good. I love the way you've attended to me and all of that, and it turns them around, you know. And I've had one incident where the girl started crying, and I'm like, why are you crying? I'm like, she's like, nobody's ever said that to me. And she was like, one customer came today morning, he was rude to me, he said he'll sue me, blah 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 blah. And I had to sit down with her and explain many things to her, and nothing really happened. She never got sued. And I taught her how to just face her customer, and then I tagged her on Instagram, and I posted, best customer service I've ever got, 5 years in living in Indonesia. You guys are very lucky. This was to Nescafe. I'm like, you guys are very lucky to have her as your um, manager. I forgot her post. And I remember she got moved to even a more luxurious mall than she was in. So, you do these small things which kind of make you happy. Like even today, I was in a coffee shop. I had a meeting. And during the meeting, I was introduced to someone very new. And that person was like, I feel very scared when I have to speak on stage. And I was telling them, your personality is such that people will listen to you automatically. Like your present, the way your personality, the way you're dressed up, the way you speak and everything, you would easily have, and it's these small things you leave into people. They're like seeds planting into them of positivity, right? The other day I was in the bank, and I saw this girl was talking on the phone, and she was a little disturbed. So she was serving coffee, and I was like, I'll have a americano. And I'm like, is everything okay? And she was not smiling and all. She was like, yeah, everything's okay. Then I just started conversation, you know and by the end of it, she was smiling, and she was like, you could see the energy shifted. So these, because everybody has a setback, right? Everybody has, maybe it's a daily setback, maybe it's something that's big, maybe it's something that's like out of control. We have setbacks every day, and it's all about shifting that energy, right? So those are just some of the examples I can give you of, value you can bring to people. It could be the smallest thing, a compliment, a compliment. And when someone's having a setback, that's the time to kind of, because we as coaches, we read body language, right? We read energy, we read all of these things. That's the time we step in, and we try to switch their energy, because we've been there, we've overcome it. How do you help someone overcoming that? Which brings me to you, Grace. What sort of value have you bring to people when you, before you go to sleep, you've done something?
I think where do I start from? Okay, my state of mind on a scale of 1 to 10 on a daily basis is happy, fulfilled. And somebody might say that's not possible. It is possible because I'm living it. Does it mean that I don't have days that I'm sad? Of course, I have several days where I'm sad and angry and all the emotions that you can call or tag negative. But what I'm saying right now is most of the time, my default is fulfilled and happy. And it is simply because whenever I wake up from my bed, I tell myself, make sure you do something today that will add to somebody else. It is even so, I've taken it a notch higher to a point where my family and friends are like, Grace, calm down. What do I do? When you speak ill of anyone where I am, and I even though so I don't dismiss the behavior of the person. So I would outrightly say that of course what this person did is wrong, what that person did is wrong. What can we do to help them understand how to do things better? Before now, it was a case of, somebody did this to me, I would dismiss them, I'll feel bad. I mean, I'll keep malice, or, I'll be malicious with them. But I've taken it a notch higher in a point where I want to be able to help people change their mindsets. Now, does it mean that I'm friends with everybody? Hell no. Hell no. But one thing is certain, even if I'm not friends with you, I am able to help you see things differently by us having a conversation towards positivity. And practically speaking, if I see someone, probably a cleaner, I would ask the cleaner, what would you have loved to do if you were not cleaning? And whatever I hear from them would help me know what next to do. So I have a I have a space in my timeline where I offer free computer lessons to people that are computer illiterate.
Oh,
I have
wow.
been able to do that even with older people that are retired, and I tell them I can offer you once a week to get you to know the basics of computer and the basics of Microsoft desktop publishing. Now, why do I do that? I do that because I know that people will do better or would aim higher if they are given certain skills. So to answer your question, I have become overly intentional in terms of adding to another person's life because I love that for myself. To be honest with you, I would love for somebody to be with me and talk to me and see that, oh, Grace, you might need this training to help you be better in this field. When I have such conversations, it will help me come back home. And when I think through it, I might just make up my mind to do that. So when I am able to do that to someone, it makes me very fulfilled. What I also do with my foundation makes me fulfilled. So when people ask me, where do you get all this vitality? Where do you get all this energy? You're always looking charming, you're always looking cheerful. I would say, I don't know. Maybe that's how God created me. Or maybe because I am intentional about adding to lives. So, either ways, I don't know where this is coming from, but that's how I want to leave my imprint, my footprints in the lives of the people that I meet or I eventually meet as I journey along. So for that alone, I'm even having goosebumps just you know, thinking of that in my head. It's making me feel fulfilled already and happy. So yes, that's what I do that makes me go to bed very sound. I go to bed sleep like a baby every night. Yeah.
Ah, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. And these are the things that, some people talk about legacy. And it's like legacy is not about leaving an impact on the whole world. It could be leaving an
Hmm.
impact on just a few people, and those few people, when they look back at their lives, you were one of the people who kind of helped them move forward, you know. So it's just amazing. And like I said earlier, setbacks, right?
Mm.
People have setbacks, and if you are be able to give them that push, that nudge, or that way of facing setbacks or overcoming them, you become that guiding light in their life. And I think even these daily actions do that. These daily actions do that. I'll mention something else to you. I had 8 big boxes of toys, and they were bugging me for more than a year because the customer never showed up for who I ordered these toys to show him so he would give orders. So they were bugging me, and I'm like, I'm going to send it to the warehouse or something, right? But I'm like, I'll send it to the warehouse. It's just going to get dust and it'll be forgotten, right? So I have this guy who I go buy coffee from, and sometimes I buy water from him. He's just down the office building. So I was just conversing with him, and he's like, "Show me the toys." He came up. he asked me, I'm like, how much you want to pay for this? He's like, I paid this much. I'm like, take it all. I gave it like at
Oh,
a dirt cheap price, right? Look what he's doing. He opened up all the toys outside his shop, right? And he's selling it for dirt cheap also. And then we had a conversation about this, and he was like, look, when somebody buys something from my store, I give some of them some toys free. You know, he's like, some children come, they take the toy, they don't even pay, they walk away. He's like, it's okay. He's like, I'm like, oh, but what, you're selling it so cheap? Why so cheap? You know, he's like, think about it. Some of the parents, they can't even afford it, right? So he's like literally selling every toy for like 50 cents US.
wow.
Okay. And I gave him like the whole 8, 10 boxes, huh? And I'm talking huge boxes of toys, um, for like $80,
Wow.
$80 US. And this could be like anywhere between 50 to 60 toys in a box.
Oh, wow. That's a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah. So, at the end of the day, he's like, look, at least children are getting happy. And some toys I give for free when they buy stuff from my things. And he's like, when some kid doesn't pay, he just takes it away. I understand. Maybe he doesn't have the money. Like even unknowingly to that person, he's doing good. He's making a difference, right?
Very right. Correct.
So yeah, these are good ways of changing someone's energy and making them feel good from their setbacks.
Absolutely amazing. And these conversations, and I like that we do this. Before we came, we're talking about the viewership, and then I'm like, you know what? We'll get, to that point, but it's in the quality of what we even say to each other, right? It's in the reminder of what we do, and the 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 ability to stay true to our words, because I think I'm going to wrap up with this from my end, which is, having to show up for yourself and the work that you do. I think there is even something about that, what it does to the mind and to you in terms of discipline. Because when you talked about that, and I said, yeah, do you know what happens to me every Sunday when we come for these lives? What comes to my mind, especially when we talk about any topic at all, what comes to mind is, I'm going to have this conversation with Yogesh into a new week. What is the aha for me in this conversation beyond the several people that we're hoping would watch this eventually? What is it for me? What's that one aha for me? And knowing that I am very important in the universe, it makes a lot of sense for me to take it away and take it into the new week. So, for me, what I have gotten from this conversation already, two things. Understand that it's okay to lose loved ones. It's okay to lose something in your business, in your career. It's okay. But knowing when to get yourself back, re strategize, and move on is equally important. And secondly, what am I going to do daily, or what am I currently doing that can help me create that impact or be useful to my community and to be useful to myself so that I can be useful to the people in my space. So those are my ahas, and I'm running into this week with all of my ahas, understanding that it starts with me showing up here every other Sunday, having a conversation with you, and hoping that someday, sometime, when we're not even here, when we are old and gray, one child. So that's how I think. One child that probably, or one person that probably was going through something at the time, because this topic that we wrote is how people find what they're looking for. So they might just go on YouTube and type, how do you get over setbacks, and how do you deal. And it might just be this particular video that would pop up. This might come up in another 10 years or 15 years. And then that person watches this and goes away with so much energy to get on with their lives. So for me, I am super excited that we come here every other Sunday doing this in a public domain, knowing that someday, sometime, one person is going to watch this conversation and it's definitely going to lift them up. I think it's a good place for me, to end it. And
Well,
you can
yeah,
end it.
I love what you said because, you never know who's listening. And the one thing I have learned is somebody out there who will only listen to the message from your mouth, not from Yogesh's mouth, from Grace's mouth. And there's somebody out there who just will listen to the message from my mouth. So we don't know, right? What's the aha that comes out? When you asked me that question today about um, before going to bed, it just cropped up so many ahas for me. Like, yeah, there's so many things we do every day. We don't realize it, but it makes a difference to people. And they could be having a setback in their business that day. They could be have lost a loved one. They could have broken up with their boyfriend or girlfriend. They could have lost money. We don't know, right? But that little seed we plant in them. Oh, you look so good today. You have a good personality. Hey, I love your smile. "Oh, you look beautiful today." I always love to leave a compliment, to someone, because you never know. You never know. Maybe just before they met you, they met someone who disturbed their mind frame, or in the morning they've had a fight, or they've heard a bad news, right? And some things we mentioned about also overcoming loss is take the lessons from the ones we love. One I mentioned was write down a letter to the person, right? See what you learn from that person, how much that person value they put into you. Take that value, put it out there, make them proud of it, right? That's a way of, you know, a lot of children growing up want to make their parents proud. And sometimes they achieve that in their lifetime, sometimes they don't. So do things that would make your parents proud of you, right? So this topic is very huge. I mean, I know we could have gone into the track of talking about grief, but we didn't, thank God, right? Because we both faced it, and sometimes I'm sure, there come moments where we get all emotional and the pain of the loss comes up again. But I always look at what I got from my father, what I learned from him, and how that has helped me in my life right now you know so I'm just gonna, before ending it, I would like to thank you again, Grace. We made it another Sunday. I know it's afternoon or evening for you, taking out your precious time on a Sunday to come and do this with me. For me, it's always close to midnight. And for those of you that have not subscribed to our YouTube channel, please, please, please subscribe and share the video with anyone. If you watch the replay, hashtag replay, leave us some comments so we know that you've watched. Whatever aha moment you've had for the day or for this conversation, please mention it there. But most importantly, share it with people. You never know who you're helping and who setback you can um, change by sharing our videos with them. So thank you so much, everyone, and we'll see you next week again in the aha movement, 11 EST. That's American Standard Time, and Eastern Standard Time, and it's usually 11 p.m. in Asia, 11
And it's
in
4
China,
p.m.
but
here
10
in
in some
Nigeria,
other.
Africa. 4 p.m. in West
Yeah.
Africa.
So perfect. Thank you, Grace, for sharing that time. See you, everyone, next week. Bye bye.
Bye.